Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's a special call, council meeting, and it's to discuss just a couple of opportunities and have a presentation along with the budget. The main thing this evening is the budget. If I would have Keith, if you would do the invocation, please, and Ms. Robinson, if you would please do the pledge.
Absolutely. Everyone, please bow your head. Dear Father, I thank you for the people of this town and these community meetings, which we come here to share with one another. I pray that as we gather together, let this meeting be filled with your wisdom, your guidance in our discussions. Open our hearts and our eyes to this activity. Listen and be mindfully courageous. We give you thanks for all you provide us. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we can do introductions, Sarah, would you mind starting, please?
Sarah Tibbetts, Counselor.
Jonathan Hamilton.
Janelle Robinson.
Lynn Williams Devaney.
Keith Clay. John Elliott.
Dee Hall, Finance Officer.
Jim Hall, Town Attorney.
Mr. Attorney, before we start on the consent agenda, do we need to excuse the mayor? We do not going to be able to attend.
I think it'd be perfectly appropriate to.
Okay, so, he's excused.
Should we vote on that?
You're supposed to take a motion.
We've taken,
Probably have a
okay, may I have a motion for that?
Move that we excuse Mayor Tim Sessions from this meeting.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Let's see, we need to vote on our consent agenda for this evening.
It was my understanding that everything in addition to the budget tonight, when we were going to talk about, I think I was under the impression we were going to have Scott give like a manager update. So he's not here. I'm not sure. I've got several things going on too outside of here. I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to stay for the entire time and I may have to leave early. I like to move that. Let's see. Everything going forward be removed except for 8, which is what we're really here for, the budget presentation. 9, council discussion regarding that. 10, budget-related comments. I believe there are folks here, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand from the ANY to give a presentation. We want to honor that, so I'd say leave the ANY on there to hear them out. And 11D, there's some folks that we can appoint, but everything besides that, I believe Mr. Hoffman is going to have a closed session with us too that's on here. So everything besides those, I move that we start from this meeting.
I second that.
Do I have any discussion?
What about 11H reports, updates, and comments? Is that included or not?
I couldn't hear what you said.
11H, do you want to?
Is that kept on there or over there?
I'd say remove it unless there's something in particular that you're,
No, I was just asking.
okay, yeah, that's you. Yeah.
And what about 12, closed session?
That would stay on there.
You already said it?
Yeah.
Okay.
8, 9, 12, 11D, 11D, 12, and then you can just continue on from 12 like normal.
Okay, no other discussion from me.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, may I have a vote, please? We have a first and a second. I'd like to call this motion to a vote.
Is all those good?
All those in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it carries. Alright. So,
So the next thing would be,
moving to announcements. I just wanted, oh, you took that one on too, sorry.
So we're going on to- right to 8.
We're found in 6. Okay, so we'll go straight to 8. Ms. Hall, are you ready?
So since we don't have a laptop to, anyway, if we put it up there, it's too small. So it's better to do it from this anyway. And this is there haven't been two, it's so small, you really can't see it. But this is the same that's been on the website since April. So I only have updated a couple of numbers of other quotes that I've gotten in. I really haven't changed anything on the other only updates that are on here. If you look at the third column, it says to date, May 28th. So I updated that. That's all the expenses and all the revenues that we had up through yesterday. And I also want to have a disclaimer that I cannot hear out of my left ear. So if anybody says something to me and I didn't hear you, I'm not trying to ignore you. I can't hear. So I haven't made any updates to most of the actual budget, the projected budgeted revenues for next year, but I have updated all the revenues that we've received up through yesterday in that column. I haven't changed. I don't think I changed anything. Does anybody have any questions on the projected revenues? So let me go back to the valuation. So I went up what I thought, it'll be at least $10,000 more that we'll get on property taxes this year just because, property valuations go up. And our new property valuation for Summerfield up through last month was $2,075,635,000. That's the total valuation for all the property, and that's the tax valuation, not the market value. So I get a update from the Department of Revenue every year that tells what they think that our revenues will be for the year, and so that's what I base those projections on. They've said that they think that sales tax will probably stay about the same.
Can you tell me where in here you are? That 2 billion you just said, where's that?
That's not on here.
It's not on
Yeah, I was just telling you
okay.
that, that's not on here. That's just the reason why I went up $10,000 for the current property taxes. So that's a little confusing on the first line because it shows, an increase of $568,000 and a decrease of $558,000, but that's because, you've got to put them to the year that they belong in. They do project that our beer and wine tax will go up a little bit, so I went up on that. And sure enough, we got the beer and wine tax. That only comes in once a year, and I got that last week. And it was higher than we projected. It was $54,000. Things kind of, all the alcohol revenues dropped off after COVID, but they're climbing back up again. Does anybody have any questions about the revenues on the first page?
I don't.
And so the second page is just our internal revenues, things that money that we bring in for planning and grants and Parks and Rec revenue, Founders Day revenue, and sponsors for our events. So it's a lot, the budget is a lot. If all the projects continue that are on for right now, which is Bandera and the AMY and water, and most of those things are heavily grant funded. So that's why the revenues are way up than the year before. And it's just our best guess of how far we might get on the AMY, how far we might get on Bandera, and how far we might get for water. Okay, y'all want to go ahead and go to?
I have no questions on that page.
Okay. So the only thing that was a little iffy, I didn't, really know what to do one way or another about the, everything is always pretty steady in governing body. Usually the only thing that really changes is whether or not there's an election year. And there's not an election year this year, and so, you know, that's why that line has been taken out. If there's a red, if in the last column, if it's red, that means that's, you know, decreased from the year before, and if it's in black, that means it's increased from the year before. And in the April budget, that the initial draft that I presented, I had 0 down for the de-annexation campaign. But I don't know. It seems like it keeps getting put off, so I did put something in here. And you know, after July 1st, if you adopt the budget, all you have to do is just have an amendment. So this is just a working, you know, budget amendments are expected. And I wanted to also explain on the today column, if you look down to contract election services and see that I had budgeted $7,000 for the election, I just got the bill for that a couple of weeks ago. Well, I mean, no, about a month ago, and it came in at 400 over, and I had a budget amendment that I was going to bring at the May meeting. And then I was going to bring it tonight, but Sarah said since it was a special call meeting, I couldn't add it. So that there will be a budget amendment for June, yeah.
Let's talk for the de-annexation PR campaign and the to-date 12,249. What exactly is that?
Lynn, do you have the list of what we spent on the dance? I mean, I know that with the video.
Yes, ma'am. So we have the video, we sent postcards to the General Assembly, to every member in the General Assembly. We sent postcards to every person in Guilford County except for Greensboro and High Point. We also sent the same postcard that went to citizens to every town in North Carolina, and that went to the town itself, so the mayor or the manager received it. We did a video, and we did a binder, which was 28 pages that was hand-delivered to the members of the General Assembly, both the House and the Senate. Let's see, we did that. There's some mileage in there from where I turned mine in for traveling down to Raleigh. And also there will be another sum put in there for getting some PR help. We have not hired a PR firm per se. That would be, I've seen calls from $10,000, $20,000, whatever a month. There's nothing like that. I want to make that very clear. It was for an a la carte item to help us get a press statement worked on based on what's coming out of Raleigh. And this week it's going to be kind of dead. But anyway, those are the items.
And yeah, so that's just what I had paid up to yesterday. So I've got a couple more things in to add to that.
And the total was on there. The total was $75,000. Kept it.
Yeah, it's great, and we got the way under, and it sounds like it's money from what we gathered feedback on those.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I didn't know what to put down for the audit. I have put out a request for proposals for an auditor. I put that out on the finance listserv, and I haven't gotten any in, so I'm going to put that out again this week. And so I put $25,000 on there because I don't know how much the proposal will be, and you know, it comes in below that. So,
Is there a normal report or a range?
I would think that would be the high end. So, and then also, I did go up on legal services. I mean, yeah, contract legal services, because I don't know what the I don't know what the NAACP complaint will bring. And if, like I said, if you don't use it all, then it's fine.
No, sir.
Yeah. So if you don't have any more questions on that, we'll go on to the admin section. And I haven't changed this from the draft that's on the website either, but I did, you know, admin salaries all, you know, went down because we had budgeted for a project manager. We decided not to do that. But everything else is just kind of going up on, we got a new IT contractor, so it went up a little bit more for that, for them to get started, changing things around. And training new staff, the extra training money in there for new staff training. And also, we had budgeted for everybody's computer is about 7 years old, and we had budgeted for new computers this year, but we're not going to get them by June 30th, so I put that in there for next year. And then, I think all the other stuff in the property and building is self-explanatory. If you get down to the capital outlay, those are, the big number is the water development, and the $70,000 in there we talked about, that's under construction services, like posted at the bottom of the page. We had talked about that at the initial draft too, because the town hall needs what's called tuck pointing and waterproofing, and I guess when you have really old brick, you need to do that ever so often, and so that needs to be done in the next year or so. So for the new welcome sign, I don't know, the new sign that we're going with, I don't know how much that would be, so I just put a number in there, and it can change. It can go up if you need to, or not use it all. And that also, includes any other things that we might need to throw in there, like improvements on any of the trailheads or something.
Where's the last thing?
The signs.
Where's the sign on here?
It's under construction, it's under land acquisitions and improvements. That's considered.
Oh, it's part of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's considered an improvement to land. We don't want to make a separate, account for that, since that's just a one-time improvement.
Did y'all get, the server had an issue or something, did you get that all taken care of?
Yeah, they fixed that, and they had thought maybe we needed a new server, but all they did was update the one we had, so that saved money too. We didn't have to get a new server. They just updated it, and it's okay. It's going good now. We had a couple of days
Right,
that was rough, but.
okay.
Okay, well, if y'all have any questions, move on to planning. And that's pretty much staying the same, and I did add a little bit more to training for new staff that they might need. And y'all didn't mention it at the retreat or anything about a comp plan update, but that, I left that in there in case y'all still want to do a comp plan update. And the planning boards are about the same, just nothing changed there. Just training that Brad put in there. So each staff member, I'm here on that, so Scott and I do everything up until now, but when we get down to planning and Parks and Rec, those department heads do those budgets. So these those are all the things that Brad thought we needed for planning. And then going into page 6, those, Cheryl does that first section. Those are the events budgets. Which she, felt could stay the same. And Jeff does, well, I do the salaries and stuff, but Jeff does all the other things. And the only thing that is really big that changes during the Parks and Rec is when you get down to the bottom, and we have that will be put the trail development. And that, like I said, will depend on how far the AMI gets and how far Bandera gets. So the big things are the trail and Bandera, but If you see SCP grounds improvement, which is second to the bottom, there's 250,000 in there because there's parts of the trail that need to be repaved and the dock and the overlook needs some repair.
So where did the 90,000 come from? Capital outlay. How did we get to that
Where
on the account? And that they,
Brad said he had talked to PTRC and just talked to them about what they thought it might cost. And we don't have a quote in on that, but that was just an estimate. And when you get into it, you may find that it costs more or it costs less. If we wanted to use PTRC's help again. And on the last page is just the community services and committees. The $24,000 decrease on volunteer programs was just because we had $24,000 that we spent this year that we don't need to spend that next year. That was the money that was given for the lights and the $2,500 that we gave to the CERT program. Those are services that we pay other people in the county to do, like the animal control, our portion of the shelter, the fire inspections. When the fire department, the fire inspector comes out, he inspects all of the businesses we have in town, and then he sends us a bill. And then I would check everybody's work, so I give it to Brad and say, make sure all these businesses are actually in Summerfield. And sometimes they're not, so I take them off the bill. So they just send us a quarterly bill on that. The Trails and Open Space Committee has requested their same amount. They would like some more map work to continue with Stephanie Jane, who is their graphic designer, do some schematics for existing trails and connectivity. They have the nature garden they've worked on, and to try to get more community engagement with events and promote the AMI. The historical committee these are just their requests. I just put them in, like they've requested them. They have requested, they want to try to be more active in outreach to history groups and local museums. They continue to try to upgrade the town hall display, and they're doing a lot more in digitalizing some historical, finds that they've had, historical materials. They participate in Founders Day and other events. They're trying to do a brick church marker at the Hopewell and Bruce's Crossroads plaques, and additional work at Hopewell and Bruce's home site. And they're also considering a GPR study of the Bruce home site. And then a recap at the bottom is how much our operating budget is, how much our operating expenses are that are not covered by revenue. And Scott and I have said over the years that we feel like it's really important that our revenues always cover our operating expenses. And they don't now, but if they would, if it weren't for legal fees and de-annexation fees, it would be covered. And then the capital expenditures is a little over 8 million, but we have over 7 million in grants. So if all the money that I projected all gets spent, every penny of it, which has never happened in the history of the town, then there is 1.4 million appropriated out of fund balance, which would not be taken out unless until all the grant funding is run through as well.
so how does this compare to some of the historical budget expenditures? Is this one of the highest?
Yeah, it is because of capital expenditures. This is the highest budget that we've ever had, but it's because of Bandera, and it's because of, and we've never had more grants than we have.
So it takes
I've never
care
had.
of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No, that's okay.
you. So it takes care of the living costs of Madera, that's included in here as well?
Yes. Well, it is included in how much we think we might get finished through this year.
Right.
So it's not projected past what it'll be June 30th, 2025.
So they'll continue to be high as we go.
And if y'all have, I mean, you know, the final budget will not need to be presented until June 11th. So if there's anything that you want to change or add or have questions about between now and then, this is still draft. And it won't be voted on until June 11th.
Are you good? Okay.
That's all.
Thank you, Dee. Appreciate your time. And now I'd like to open it up to council discussion. Do you have any additional questions, comments?
Look forward to looking it over and come back to the visit. Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, moving on. Now I'd like to open the budget-related public comment section. So I'm going to start. Did everybody turn their slip in that would like to speak this evening?
No. I didn't bother, I didn't think you were going to have public comments.
For the budget.
Do you want me to go get a slip in hand, Judy?
Yes, ma'am, if you don't mind. It is budget-related. Okay, first up is Ms. Lexi Klein.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Lexi Klein, I live at 7966 Highfield Road. I come before you not only as a concerned citizen, but as a deeply frustrated and disheartened member of this community. A cascade of asinine and irrational decisions made by this council has plunged the town into utter chaos. What should be a period of stability for Summerfield as we batten down the hatches to weather the storm of a precarious future has instead become a time of uncertainty and disarray. For those unaware of the timeline, let's review. Clay, DeBaney, Hamilton, and Robinson voted to non-renew Scott Whitaker's contract. At the meeting following the decision, neither Clay, DeBaney, Hamilton, nor Robinson would second a motion to offer Whitaker severance. The town attorney resigned. The lobbyist hired by the town to represent us in Raleigh resigned. The entire town staff resigned. The town's auditor resigned. 2 members of the finance committee resigned. The new town attorney and an employment attorney conducted unscheduled exit interviews with town employees without the mayor or town manager's knowledge. Hamilton and Robinson told news outlets that they were not concerned with any of this and that they would be able to find volunteers to fill all the vacancies. These decisions have shown a glaring disregard for the voices of your constituents. Citizens elected you to serve our best interests, to provide stable governance, and to ensure that our town thrives. Instead, your actions have demonstrated a profound disconnect from the very people you're meant to represent. It's evident that the perspectives and concerns of the community were neither sought nor considered in these drastic moves. The resignation of our entire town staff is not just a loss of individuals, it's a loss of institutional knowledge, continuity, and the very foundation upon which our town operates. The services we rely on, from public safety and awareness to community planning, are now in jeopardy. You cannot rely on volunteers to handle the day-to-day business of our town, and it's laughable that you'd even suggest such a possibility. This isn't just about administrative turmoil, it's about the real and tangible impact on the daily lives of every resident in Summerfield. What, you may ask, are the implications of this mass exodus? Well, first, our town is already rife with more drama than you could ask for in the best episode of The Young and the Restless. Potential homebuyers are avoiding this area like the plague, and it's not simply due to the looming threat of de-annexation. Business owners have no desire or motivation to become rooted in a community so full of discord and governmental ineptitude. The young professionals and budding families you claim so ardently to attract have told me personally they have no desire to live here. This is not the first instance of questionable decision-making, but it is certainly the most damaging. It reveals a clear lack of understanding of your duties and responsibilities as elected officials. The role you have been entrusted with demands not only leadership, but also wisdom, foresight, and a commitment to the greater good of the entire town. To those 4 council members who are responsible for this decision, you have failed us. Your actions have created a void that will take significant time and effort to repair. The trust we place in you has been shattered. Governance is not a game of power or personal agendas. It's a solemn responsibility to serve with integrity and care.
Got it?
I'm gonna make sure it's. Okay, Ms. Neela Jones.
My name is Neela Jones of 6700 Bacon Road. First of all, I want to thank the town staff for all that they have done. They are making running a town look easy, and I know that when they are gone, we are going to see all the hundreds of things that they do each day to keep our community running strong. Secondly, I know that we're going to talk about this later, but I have to leave a little early, so I wanted to voice my opinion that as a member of the Trails and Open Space Committee, we all agree on the need to move forward with the Kimley Horn contract to evaluate keeping the AMY Greenway entirely on Summerfield Road after crossing 220. Keeping the trail along Summerfield Road would give so many individuals the opportunity to ride, walk, jog, take their dogs down a trail and stay safe. Everyone who I come across is so excited when I mention this opportunity to them. No one that I've come across has said anything negative about it. My teenage son and daughter were ready to come to the last meeting until it was canceled. And Alex and Aubrey, they would have come up here and wished to say how great it would be if the Greenway expanded up Summerfield Road and it gave them a place to run and bike safely. They're members of the cross-country team, and they're always running on the Greenway and always looking for new places to run safely. So thank you.
If I mispronounce her name, I apologize. Pam Torgenhoff.
Very good. When people decide to vote for a candidate running for a seat in their local government, one hopes that they have a broad vision for their community. One also hopes that they'll be able to put aside their personal likes and dislikes to do what will benefit for the entire community, a broad vision for the future. There are presently 4 council members, Hamilton, Robinson, Devaney, and Clay, who are bitter disappointments in these expectations. They achieved in 2 short months what our former mayor, Gail Dunn, was unable to achieve in her 2-year term, the removal of our town manager, Scott Whitaker. Their actions and behaviors since assuming office have shown them to be petulant, arrogant, disrespectful, and very short-sighted, not only in the way they've treated our town manager, but also our mayor as well as their entire community. They have brought chaos to Summerfield. They've acted as if they'll hold these seats forever, when in fact, one vote and you're gone. A leader may have to make decisions that they personally dislike, but that decision may be best in the long run for the community. Leading Summerfield to the possibility of having nearly 1,000 acres de-annexed from its heart is not leadership. In the nearly 25 years that I've lived here, Henson Farms, Henson Forest, and Armfield have all changed by people moving here. Henson Farms was a beautiful horse farm, Armfield was a working cattle farm, and Henson Forest was a large tract of forested acreage, now all covered with houses, changing the rural community look forever. This housing development change is slowly but surely happening all over Summerfield. In the next 2 years, there are going to be 8,000 new jobs available in this area from just 2 companies. The people filling those positions are going to need some place to live, and probably some of them will want to live in Summerfield. This is where a vision for the future would have been expected to be on the minds of Hamilton, Robinson, Devaney, and Clay. Instead, they remain myopic. Their vision for Summerfield's future seems to be in the next 5 minutes, not in the next 5 years. Leaders have to be able to look at least that far in the future of our community. They need to be able to see the need for housing, the pressure for recreation areas like parks, the need for goods and services, the urgency for safety of the citizens by our fire departments, need for quick water sources. How to pay for this community growth pressure? Tax dollars. What these four have done is push our community toward disaster. They've led Summerfield right to the door of the state legislature, looking at the possibility of de-annexation right in the face, possibly even losing our town charter. They've also helped the NAACP to look at Summerfield over housing. This is not leadership. They have become so difficult to work with as to push a developer to the point of making this bitter request for the legislature to de-annex the property from Summerfield. If he's successful, do not for 1 second blame the developer. Blame you for. Does that mean I stop?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be back next month.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Tarpon, do you have a lot left?
No?
Go ahead and finish.
You sure?
Yes, ma'am. If that's okay with,
That's fine.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The hang-up is over one word, apartments. The surprise should not be that someone wants to build apartments in Summerfield, but that they've not already been built. They've acted as if apartments would attract the wrong kind of people to Summerfield. It's a dirty word in this area. The truth of the matter is that most young people happily call their first home apartments. The cry in this area has been that families won't have children to be able to live in this community where they grew up. There's no place for them to live here. It's too expensive. A 20-year-old graduating from college cannot afford to buy a medium-priced house in Summerfield. According to Realtor.com, the median listing home price in Summerfield is an astounding $673,500 as of April 2024. Equally, there's no place for seniors to live who want to downsize and stay in Summerfield. It's a reasonable assumption that what will happen if the legislature approves this de-annexation that these four have pushed Summerfield toward, is that Greensboro will quickly gobble up 1,000 acres. After all, Summerfield incorporated 25 years ago to keep that from happening. When that happens, the developer will build whatever he wants to build. Greensboro will allow anything to be built that will produce a tax dollar. Summerfield will have no control over any development of that property. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of tax dollars will go in the coffers of Greensboro. Summerfield will be sitting here watching these tax dollars go to Greensboro that could have been ours if these four had just shown some leadership and some vision for Summerfield. They'll be scrambling for money to build a much-needed water delivery system while watching many of their wells go dry, thanks to your our way or the highway attitude. Mr. Clay says, quote, inhibitors that were present for growth opportunities, negotiations, and fruition of projects are fleeing. Anyone who was working for Summerfield has fled or is in the process of fleeing. Our entire staff that was run very smoothly by our town manager, Scott Whitaker, our longtime attorney, members of the Finance Committee, outside auditor, as well as their paid lobbyists for the legislature to fight our de-annexation battle. Are these the inhibitors that you were talking about, Mr. Clay? No one seems to want to work with the majority of our council. Hamilton, in his first press release, clearly told us that he was going to put Summerfield's train back on the tracks, running smoothly. What has Hamilton done? He's led the town to a total and devastating train wreck, along with Robinson, Devane, and Flood. Summerfield may be very well much better served if these four inhibitors left. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Gail Dunham?
Gail Dunham, 5805 Scouthill Drive. I think you should correct this agenda. This was not a presentation of the budget. This was a budget lecture, and this is the biggest budget we've had. You've got it packed with an AMY, you've got water in there. It's probably not a $10 million budget. I think it was misleading to say everything's privately funded with grants. This is only the start of these massive projects. And it's probably a $100 million budget because you don't have enough money for the other things. Concerns, someone's going to get to make an AMY presentation tonight. That's going to have as much time as they want. Citizens, we do not have public participation. We have 33 minutes, I think, left for the rest of the year. And there's a lot of things. I want the budget. Tell us what it's going to cost to build and maintain every project in there. And if you can't answer it, then don't do it. As a matter of fact, with everything that's going on, I think you should try and keep it simple. Nothing is urgent. The only thing urgent is to protect our wells. With the A&Y Greenway, I was looking back over the paperwork for this for the last 10 years. I think there's a lot for you to learn. This was supposed to be part of an A&Y trail. This was part of the seat of the mountain, the master trail for the state of North Carolina. Now it's just going to be something to the park. Well, that really isn't enough. There's a great deal of work that was done in the past. In the beginning, the public was involved, and they said get easements first and do the design separate. And Scott Whitaker said, no, I've got to do this design first. Probably spent $1 million on design. But in the beginning, the people of this town were right. You should have gotten easements first. People want this, but I am very opposed to a condemnation of property, anyone's property in this town, especially affordable housing. And you don't put a bicycle trail next to the road. Why don't you do a traffic study of Summerfield Road before you think that this is a great place to have kids riding on their bikes and everything else? Just do a traffic study. The original paperwork had some excellent ideas, and I think we had an excellent architect at the time. There was a lot of research done for the detail. So I was looking at that now, all we're talking about is, and you did vote to condemn property, and I don't think that should not be the case with the ANY. Very concerned about water. There is nothing in this water project that's going to protect my well. You made a pay promise to protect existing wells. That's not going to happen. Actually, you've got something in there. You've got 2 engineering firms, and they're looking at Summerfield as an annuity for the rest of their life. They think we're just all driving around with a trunk full of money. It's going to have huge growth, and there's going to be all this money, and they can be the engineers for the next 30 years. Yeah, and the one engineer about the water, may I finish?
Yes, you may.
The engineer about the water said, you can buy water here, there, you buy water from all these sources. You can have a sewer. Actually, we can't buy water from all these services, but you are making decisions based on false information from from the engineers that want to get really rich off this town. And my well will be impacted, and I'm not going to sit back for that. That's the only thing I cared about in the beginning was I always said I wanted overall low density to protect our wells. We make it water from Greensboro, a safe estimate is 7 years away. It doesn't make sense to go into all this high-density development, spending millions of dollars, and then find out, oh, well, we don't have the water yet. We'll just have to work that out because it's not working very well. I appreciate what you're trying to do. I think you need to have more citizen participation. This meeting was not on the website 48 hours in advance. So that's a violation of the statute. And somebody says, well, it was posted somewhere. You know, sometimes Scott would say, well, we put it on Facebook. Or he just had to do the 3 or 4 clicks on the website maybe to find it. That is the primary source. You don't post it near the town hall. There's a box that they put out there. It was post the meetings. Now you don't post meetings there even. But the primary purpose would be to have it accurate on the town website. And there's no handouts. I never saw a budget. I never saw an agenda or anything. And slow down, will you please? And allow more citizen participation on some of these things, because you don't know what it is. And we have wonderful people in this town that could be helpful. Don't just rely on your engineers, say your closed-door meetings.
Okay, with that said, we'll move on to item 11B, and that's the AMI presentation.
So do you want to do the PowerPoint or you see the?
You can try.
What do you? Well, I could do a short version. Some things I want to go through some key points maybe before we do in essence of time too, right? Yeah. See up there. So what we're talking about, you you saw this last week and you've seen it, was, this is the old map this way. Yep. And what we're talking about is getting Kimberly County to study going up this way, which is about 40% the length of the yellow. So that's the decision. Okay. You guys want, sorry. So this was on the Founder's Day. This is the original route down Summerfield Road, behind the trailer park through the watershed, down to 20. What the decision tonight they need to make is for Kimberly Horn to study going up Summerfield Road entirely, and you'll hear why here in a second.
Put that one on the bottom.
Okay. So do you guys want to go through the whole thing, or have you seen most of the PowerPoint?
Why don't you educate us?
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you want.
Time-wise, Rick, you okay? Okay. So let me bring something I put together here about, when we'll walk through this, just a couple of key points. So we made this PowerPoint after our April Trails meeting with the intention of assembling the facts of the, sorry, I'm Paul Lambert, the Trails and Open Space Committee Chair. Sorry about that. So the Trails Committee created this PowerPoint after our April Trails meeting with the intention of assembling the facts of the A1 Greenway South project. Also to explain the pertinent steps in the DOT process, because there is a process for this. There's easements always come after, not before. Provide a current project as well as give you guys a status. We also realized you guys have used the word dashboard the last couple of months, so we wanted to put this together and give you a draft and maybe what a dashboard might look like for a status report on these big projects. Because this has been running for 13 years. It's a long process. So, on behalf of the Trails and Open Space Committee, we all want to thank the four of you, Lynn, Janelle, Heath, and John, for taking time out of your busy schedules to meet with either me or Ginger and going through all these details. We tried. We tried to cross paths, John, but we just didn't get the chance to cross paths. And also one other, we'll walk through this. The goal of the last several weeks and tonight is to help each of you better understand the vision, the collaboration, and the hard work that's taken place the last 13 years to create this community connection and the health benefits of a greenway. I would also like to identify all those participating stakeholders involved who have all in good faith contributed their efforts to this process. That includes the state of North Carolina's been involved, Guilford County, City of Greensboro, regionally, the Piedmont Land Conservancy, as well as the NPO office, numerous private landowners, past and present trail committee members who've heard from thousands of trail and greenway supporters over the last 13 years. And real quick, if I could ask any supporters here of the greenway, anybody here that supports me, would stand up or raise your hand, that's great. So we have lots of people that support it. And two significant things have changed now. As we walk through this, I want you to keep in mind what has changed since this 2017 contract, or DOT gave us the go-ahead. So in August of 2019, Town Council celebrated the opening of the pedestrian tunnel under 220 when we constructed that sidewalk up to Summerfield Road. The sidewalk leads up the hill to the DOT donated remnant property from the US 220 construction out the south end of Summerfield Road. That property has provided a well-utilized trailhead up until the bridge was closed for repairs last fall. I spoke to City of Greensboro last 2 weeks. They're working on it. They're still thinking they're going to make the 2-year window, as they said. But another significant fact that's changed, and we'll walk through this, is this winter, A&Y engineering firm Kimley Horn came back with their survey results. They discovered that in the GIS system, it had been inaccurately displaying the DOT right-of-way boundaries along Summerfield Road for all these years. So in fact, the 15 feet of space needed for the curb, gutter, and the greenway would fit entirely inside the existing DOT right-of-way. So every part of this that we have studied in the yellow, there's no easements we need to buy. It's all inside the DOT right-of-way. And that was huge compared to what we assumed for 13 years. So that's why we want to get them to look at the south end now and look at this pink part and get that looked at. So kind of I'll run this through and hit key point. There's 18 slides and I will hit it fast with key points. Any questions the five of you have, please holler when we walk through this. What am I pointing at? You can make this from, oh, maybe your computer.
Nope. Up or down? Try the other one.
I'm going, oh, okay. Thank you. Table of contents. So this decision came about March Town Council meeting. You guys asked us to go back and review when we want to come up the right-hand road. That's when we discovered that he said, when we discovered that Kim Warren said, hey, the whole thing fits on the DOT right away. And he suggested, let's go look at the south side as well. They came in with the estimate on the April Town Council meeting. I think it's roughly 147,000, somewhere in that ballpark, 146, 147. They came in with that to study the lower portion of Summerfield Road. You guys did a pause and like, hey, well, let's look at some other alternatives too. And we went from there. So that's why we're bringing this decision that came up in April 9th back to you here about the 147,000. So this is about the history of the Trails and Open Space Committee. We started in 2012. We've been through several routes. The original plan went through lots of private property, and after about 6 months of that, we pulled it entirely off of that and came up with a new route. I'll leave that at that. We'll go A&Y background. It really officially started in February 2012. We had a DOT contract about the pedestrian tunnel. Already the city of Greensboro, Guilford County, the state were working with us. Hey, if you guys extend the A&Y, we'll put the tunnel under 220. And there's an agreement that we signed with them to do that. And then the original, they wanted all the way from Strawberry Road all the way to the edge of the town, next to Stokesdale. That was such a big project, we ended up splitting it into two pieces. So it's split between the Summerfield South project, which is this project, and then another project for Summerfield North. Comprehensive plan has all the references to trails and sidewalks, and this project that we're working on is even detailed in the comp plan. In this section 2, there's reference to the Mountains at Sea Trail, reference to the Piedmont Greenway. It's everything we've been working on is because we were asked to by previous town councils in the comp plan. So we're not doing it. So it's all in the comp plan. And also we've seen, especially since COVID, but the Summerfield Road Activity Day has picked up regardless of whether, people are using the side of Summerfield Road, cyclists, walkers, the new market, the Performing Arts Center has attracted more people that are out. They are using the side of the road. It is there. So putting a greenway there would make this much safer. Even Sunday morning 2 weeks ago, we saw 2 13-year-olds that just been fishing, walking down Summerfield Road with their fishing poles because there's nowhere to walk but a ditch. There's no shoulder. So this concept map we put together and had at Founders Day in 2022, but it just shows where all these agencies, the state, the county, the city, the regional ones, have come together. Summerfield is just the intersecting point of these 3 trails. The A&Y Greenway, the MST, and the Piedmont Greenway. I'm missing the word there. So they're all just or just happen to intersect through Summerfield. And these are even the other future projects that we have after the A&Y Greenway. We were asked, is this the only thing? There's a lot more to this, but in the comp plan, the A&Y Greenway is really the backbone of the whole system up the heart of Summerfield Road. And then we have other trail plans and concepts that will bring the other neighborhoods to it. But we tried once to propose that, and it's tough for people to see until we get the greenway in place, and then we kind of have the town split in quadrants and how we would get each quadrant to the greenway. hung it up. Can you manually take it?
Yes.
Please. There it is. Okay. So this was just, I put a map in here where this is off of Summerfield Village's map. We modified, and just to show how, even with the private landowners like David Couch has been part of this for the last 15 years. Just this, it is what it is, and this is what Janelle had referred to, I think, in the April meeting. And but they all kind of diverge, and that's what I think, Janelle, you looked at. It's like, hey, could we do this? But we're in favor of going up the south side of Summerfield Road. Greenway versus trail. The takeaway from this one is what the greenway would be. The 15 feet on Summerfield Road will be 2.5 feet of gutter, 10 feet of greenway, and then a 2-foot shoulder as it blends back into the ground. So roughly the 15 feet. Lynn, you and I walked that off in front of the fire station at Founder's Day. Basically, the 15 feet replaces the ditch.
Correct.
I mean,
And it stopped on the opposite side of the road of the ditch. It's like, okay.
right, 15 feet's not that far. Right. So the DOT contract scope, the number, and again, we're trying to document for you guys. We have this more like, think of this as like a report we should have given you January 1st, right? This, in theory, if we had been running this big project for 13 years, we'd have had this in place, had this conversation already. But this is the contract that's in place, EV 5900. Janelle, Lynn, John, you guys signed this back in, 2 years in April of 2022. This is an estimate based on 2017, $4 million in 2017 dollars versus 2024 construction dollars. It's not going to go nearly as far. That's why we want you guys to approve the $147,000 and study the south side piece, because this south piece is basically 40% the length of what this money was meant to cover. We get a chance to really shorten the budget, reduce the amount of pavement, reduce the retaining walls needed along 220 and through the watershed. We get a chance to maybe even hit this number, because we're going to take out a lot of pavement by shortening this project.
What would be that 2.3 miles would become what, do you know?
I couldn't measure the whole thing. We measured the string, the yellow versus the pink. And the pink was 40% the length of this, so it was significantly less. Kinley Horn put in a, and this is an email from Kinley Horn. You can't read it, but he said this is where they gave you guys the quote for the $147,000. But please, I'll read the line here in black. Please keep in mind that revising the southern portion to traverse Summerfield Road exclusively will result in significant cost savings in construction due to the reduction of project length and removal of boardwalks and retaining walls. So, yeah, not too often we get a chance to reduce the cost of the project. So this is a chance to really shorten it and get the number. This is their timeline, Kinley Horn tentative timeline. I just wanted you guys to see that the way the process, DOT has a process. We're not building the first greenway in North Carolina, but they do the design. There's this magic mark called the 75% design point. When they get there, which is why we need to do this study for the additional $147,000, then we could have the whole length studied. They get the blueprints to a certain level. Then they start talking to, there's an easement specialist company that then has the one-on-one conversations with each property owner along there. Even though we don't need to buy any property for the greenway itself, there's things called construction easements where when they build it, as they tear up the road and everything, how that works. But that's built into the process. That's where DOT has it planned in the process, because they don't start that process unless we show them the 75% design. It's just how it works. And then it keeps going from there, step by step, to take it. And that's before we lost a month, but we're looking at, wow, bid opening happens, if all were to go well, like next summer, even just to open for bids. So budget-wise, spending, there's, not a ton of spending that goes